Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Liftoff. Today we have an extra special guest, Bobby Chatih. Thank you so much for joining us. So strap yourselves in. Get ready for the ride. Promise it won't be too bumpy. It'll be extra exciting. So Bobby, thanks for joining.
My absolute pleasure. Look at those two beautiful faces. How could I not be there?
Yeah, we paid you to say that.
The mustache paid me.
It's true.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Keith, aka Pops?
Doing great. Thank you. Yeah, I feel great this morning. It's a Friday midday here in sunny, beautiful Southern California. No wind, unfortunately, no rain, but no fires. So we got that blessing. We had some tragedy, those tragic, horrific fires, which is part of living in Southern California. So our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who's affected in any way, or those who anybody affected. But ironically, it's funny how when things happen like that, it comes back to business as usual, right? And now it's, people are churning in the office, and it's really encouraging at January 17th that we have people working so diligently. Yeah, and even despite, a tragic event. Ironically, 31 years ago today at 4:35 in the morning, I was really awakened by the Northridge earthquake. So happy bad anniversary for that. But I digress. We're not here to talk about the weather or natural occurrences as such, but really to explore, the nature of this podcast. We call it Liftoff. We're trying to look at ways that superstar agents such as you, Bobby, have risen above the crowd in a short amount of time in your career and really have risen to the top of the heap and trying to drill into those things and what of those commonalities, what things you're doing that might help others that maybe struggling a little bit or not quite find their lane yet. So we're looking forward to exploring that with you today. I don't know if you have anything else, or should we just have Bobby kind of launch in a little bit his background?
Absolutely. I just was going to piggyback off that by saying, tell everybody a little bit about how you got started in real estate and what do you love most about it?
Sure. Thank you guys for having me. This is, as you mentioned, a tough time, but we are trying our best to work through it. The old adage goes, just put your head down and work. It's very important, and try to be there for people. We are agents, yes, but we're also people to help each other. So with that segue, I got into real estate. Well, my mom got me in when I was about 22 years old when I got my real estate license. I'm now 35. Like most people at the beginning, I was like, okay, maybe this could be like a part-time thing or see how it goes. I was working at a minimum wage job at the time. I was actually managing a few liquor stores here in LA, which is a very common business of our community. Minimum wage, probably making $400 a week, if that. And she came in and showed me one of the checks that she made, and she drilled me on the spot and said, "How much do you make here in a month?" And it was minimal. And she showed me one of the checks, and I was like, "Wow, this is serious money." So with most people want to get into it for the money, but quickly realize it is a very tough business. Very beginning for me, ball didn't get rolling until later on in my career, in my life. It takes time for nobody's going to trust a 22-year-old to buy a house with at the very beginning. So I had to learn my ways and learn the business and gain the experience until the business finally started taking off for me. But it is one of those jobs that if you truly work hard and put your head down and show what you're worth and show your experience, then it can be very fulfilling. And with the fulfilling side of it, why I love it is because it can be a job of freedom. Many times when I was in that minimum wage job, I was staring outside the business door just saying, man, there's so much life and activity going on out there, and I'm stuck in here for minimum 40 hours a week, if not more. So
you're stuck in there surrounded by bottles of bourbon and gin and vodka.
Correct. It's very tempting, but when you sell it all day, it's like, what is that saying? When the butcher looks at the meat all day, he doesn't like to eat it or something of that nature.
Yeah, like working in an ice cream shop.
Exactly. So the freedom of the job is an excellent thing. Being able to work endless hours, but work endless hours poolside in a foreign country. One of my best months and one of the years I closed 6 transactions in 1 month was while I was in Thailand. A lot of work leading up to it in November, December, but I had about 6 closings in January. And I was on a foreign beach working and closing and waking up at the middle of the night because it's daytime over there. But you know what? At least I was in a foreign country enjoying it. So the freedom of the job is probably one of the things I absolutely love the most. And the people person aspect of it is that's really what this business is. It's a people person business. It's not a selling home business. It's a people person business.
Couldn't say that any better. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do get drawn to our business for various things, the potential to make money, the freedom. But as you know, freedom is a double-edged sword. You're free to succeed and work the way you want, but you're also not accountable to me, the owner of the company, or to anybody else. And some people then struggle with that freedom. They get up later, they start work at 10 or 11, and they head home at 3 or what have you. So we have to be built a little bit different. The entrepreneurial agent that comes into this business that has no salary, no sick leave, no vacation pay, no pension, and
That's
takes that challenge and turns it into a policy where one could make $50,000 or $100,000 in a month, which you cannot do when you were managing liquor store. So you've been able to use that freedom as a motivator, but you also self-motivate to make sure that you do work full days and spend time on the important things that you needed to build a successful career.
correct. And it's important to have a supportive spouse on just on this Sunday. I was having dinner with her and we were having like some private time, and my mom calls me. They saw a house with our clients on Sunday, and it was about 8:30, almost 9 o'clock at night. And she said, "We have to submit this offer tonight. It's due tonight." So had to tell my wife, "I'm sorry, we have to put this on hold." So went off to the side. And actually, I didn't have my laptop on me. So funny enough, we were at a friend's house after the dinner, and I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I need to use your laptop, close all your programs. I need to do everything I need to do to get this sent off." So sometimes it's the urgency of the matter. With that freedom, 9 to 5, sometimes you shut off at 5 with real estate. Yeah, you can set your own hours, but sometimes there is deadlines that need to be met at any time of night.
Yeah. And you were able to adapt. And you're absolutely right. The support of your family members, a spouse, significant other, a parent, child, and get them on your team, because that is really important.
Absolutely.
Well, I have a question too, but Derek, I'm going to let you take the next one.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I just was going to say, all that to be said, with the freedom of it, like we've mentioned, some of it requires us to hold ourselves accountable. So what does like a typical day look like for you? If you could walk us through that, and how have you learned to structure your time on any given day?
Yeah, absolutely. Planning is huge for me. I'm a very tech savvy person. I definitely love to use all my different programs, but when it comes to it, I'm still old in the fact of notebooks. I carry my notebooks, and I have to have that mental of scratching something out when something's done. The night before or the morning of, usually I try to plan my day with my calendar on my phone, and then I star my biggest tasks for the day that I need to complete, and I try to knock those out first immediately so it's not sitting in my brain with me the rest of the day. So having something physical, having a plan for the day, what is required, constant reminders. We have a free virtual assistant with our phone and Siri. So constantly setting those reminders because we have so many things going in our brain. But planning my day with a notebook and handling those tasks as I go, plus my schedule throughout my day. But as on real estate, phone calls are coming in. You got to put out fires, literally and physically. The other day, I was going to an appointment, and the appointment fire started up, and it was right next to one of my listings. So as I was on my way, I told my client, "I'm sorry, I need to pause this momentarily." I went to the listing and I started spraying it down with the hose. Wow. So you also have to be mendable for the day when something goes on.
You save someone's home.
Thankfully, it didn't get to that point, but you need to be prepared because you never know what happens. Just hanging around. There's a lot of looters right now too. So just being mendable, trying to stick to your day as much as possible, but also being ready to take on calls and tasks as they come in.
Bobby, one of the biggest questions people have of top producers is one of our job ones, which is lead gen. How do you get the people you're working with? How do you close 20, 30 transactions a year? How do you close over $500,000 every year? Well, it has to start at the beginning to get enough opportunities. And I know you have some unique things, your community, and you can expand on that as much as you want to talk a little bit, but share some thoughts that you have on how you've developed your business, your following.
Correct. Yeah. Our number one, I would say, me and my mom live very true on this, is social media is here to stay. That is part of our society, part of our community, how people stay connected. I know people have their complaints about social media and disconnect and so on and so forth, but let's be real. Social media is here, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I think it's very important that you have to stay present with content, whatever have you, market update, something good information on the fires that we just released, for example, on the FEMA programs and on the pause on mortgages and where to get assistance in different ways. So social media is definitely one of our main bread and butter. But again, going back to the people person business, if you could find a way to make something you love and mingle it with your career, can be very successful. For example, I love music events, rock concerts, EDM concerts, whatever have you. And just getting out there, meeting people, adding them on social media. You don't have to start with I'm a real estate agent. Once you add them later on, they say, "Oh, I love this guy. He's also a real estate agent. Fantastic. I'm going to actually use him for my real estate needs." And I can't tell you how many times I've met somebody at a concert or whatever have you, and we end up becoming good friends on that day. And then later on, they discover what I do and they reach out to me for my services. So being in the people person business, getting out there, meeting new people every single day, I think that's a huge lead generation thing. And then with that, community services, which I'll dive into a little bit more later, but we also donate our time back to our community in the form of nonprofit organizations, church events, just generally being out there and being there for people when they need us, not just when they're buying a home.
You just said something, a bunch of golden nuggets right there. One of which was, mingle what you do, what you love with your business. So, you're a pickleball fanatic. Well, let people know what you do and be you, and don't be that obvious person that every time you see someone, hey, you want to sell, but let people know what you do and build those relationships, and then organically that'll happen. It also can be done with what you do too, which is around your charities that are true to you. You want to spend time raising money and awareness for those things that are good for you. And all of them are good. Virtually, they're all good. So, one may, have a heart for cancer, for, the children with cancer, and it's, all the ways. But you and your mother Nada do a fantastic job of that. And when people give of their heart, if you have that servant's heart like you, the results do follow.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Find what you love and find a way to marry it with your profession.
Absolutely. With that in mind, I mean, you kind of alluded to it, Bobby, but you spoke of your community and how much that plays a role in your life and in your business. What sort of ways are you giving back to the community, involved in charity or events or different things that you're putting on that you're involved with regularly?
Absolutely. I am the vice president of a nonprofit organization called the Fairuzi American Association. Actually, I'm wearing their shirt today.
Nice.
We like to give back by donating my time every single month, at least minimum one meeting. All of our profits go to scholarships. We've given over $350,000 in scholarships already. So donating that time back and holding events for our community, such as like casino nights, free movie nights. We also have career days. We had about 8 or 9 events just last year alone. So giving back to our nonprofit organization is a huge one, which we like to help out with. We also like to, for example, actually, we're doing the fire relief fund, which I'm actually going to right after this, where we're collecting a bunch of donations, water, toilet paper, women's products, baby formula, all that stuff. And we're going to go distribute it to the firehouses, the churches, anybody that's in need. So those small things of giving back, sometimes you may not see the effect it has immediately, but it'll definitely come to fruition or help you out down the line, and you're enjoying it while you're doing it. So I think that's a huge thing, is donating your time wherever you feel your passion. Additionally, we like to have client parties every year. We like to dump our money back into our clients rather than to other leads. In doing so, it brings people together, allows more people to meet each other, just shows our clients that we appreciate them. It's not just transactions done, see you later type of situation. No, I think it's very important to give back to your community as much as you can. Some people do it different ways. Some people do pop buys. There's agents I used to know that will literally just pop by and give somebody a gift because they're in their neighborhood. Client parties is another one. Free shredding events, giving people turkeys on Thanksgiving, whatever have you. Giving back is a very big thing. And I think it not only distinguishes you as an agent, but as a person who actually generally cares.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so everybody's curious out there and they're trying to guess, what is your community?
Oh, we are the Syrian American community. We come from all over Syria, but our main community is Fairuzi, Homs, Zaydan. These might be hard to say, but easier for me. But generally, we are probably most congregated here in Southern California. I think we have a community of over 40,000 people, at least, if not more. So as time has gone on, we've noticed that our community has kind of Still strong connections, but the younger generation is kind of not connecting as much. So we wanted to be able to make a nonprofit organization that has community events to bring people together, and at the same time donating back in the form of scholarships and other things that we give out.
Yeah, so that becomes your core of your business. But I also know that you folks work with other people too. You're colorblind, and you work with people of all, races, creeds, colors, shapes, ages, genders. You're real good about that. But there is some commonality that sometimes helps. That kind of like you said, mingle what you love. It's the same thing. Work with people that you have some of that commonality. It just makes it easier. And interesting, you have a 40,000 person community all over Southern California. That's not huge, right? I mean, it's not like some other ethnic groups that are 400,000.
Correct.
But you do a great job. So that's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing I forgot is I like to give back my time. There is a event company called Insomniac who does a lot of the music events, and they have a thing called ground control, which is kind of like a first responders in a sense to, they call them headliners in need. So I genuinely love it. I get to go to these music events and I get to help people who are in need. Oh, I lost a friend. I lost my wallet. I'm too drunk to get to my car, whatever have you. So it's just another way for me to give back, and it gives me my self-fulfillment to be able to help people. That's really what it's about at the end of the day.
That's so great. That's awesome. Derek?
Yeah, no, I love just the different ways that you stay involved and prioritize relationships with people. I think a lot of times agents get stuck trying to figure out what they need to do, and really it's going back to what you said, marrying your passion with your business, being able to continue to prioritize getting in front of people and wherever you're spending the most time. And that's what it comes down to. I guess, with that in mind and the wisdom that you've gained, what would you say to yourself or to somebody who's maybe at a place where they're either just getting started in their business, or maybe they're at a point where they've plateaued and they're really wanting to get to that next level of success? Mm-hmm. Like what's something that you've learned that you would want to pass on to somebody?
Sure. The biggest staple, if somebody's just beginning, I would say try not to get discouraged. A lot of times, especially when you're starting in the business, it can be very tough, when you're posting on social media or whatever, and you're not getting the reactions or you don't have the confidence. Keep doing it, because at the beginning, it's going to feel like nobody's listening on the other end. You feel silly, whatever have you. Keep doing it. But something that even stays true to my career as a professional, almost 14 years in the business, is follow up. And I remember one of the Olsen agents here told me, is if I could just hire one person just to sit in a chair and follow up with my clients or do it myself, past, current, future clients, that is one of the most important things, because I can't tell you how many times that we get busy and we forget to follow up with people. Like right now, for us, instance, it's a great time for us to follow up with our past clients. Even though the fires happened in areas that weren't affected by a lot of my clients, I can still check in on them and say, hey, I know more than likely you probably weren't affected, but I just want to say, I hope you're okay. I hope your family and everybody else is okay. Following up is very critical. It's very easy to forget after we close a deal to follow up somebody. One of the things I do is a home anniversary card. Every year is somebody's home anniversary. So I'll send them a couple of gift cards for In-N-Out or whatever have you, and just say, happy home anniversary. I hope you're well. And it's a big thing, because when you're used to just receiving bills in the mail all the time, it's nice when you actually get a card, a handwritten note saying, hey, I hope you're well. Happy home anniversary. Here's your next In-N-Out meal on me. Who doesn't love In-N-Out?
Absolutely.
So small things like that just makes people think of you, stay top of mind. And in return, I can't tell you how many times people told me, oh my God, I'm so happy you called me. Actually, my brother's going to be looking for a house. I'm going to connect you guys. And that wasn't my intention. It just so happens that's how it works out sometimes.
For sure. Here's another interesting kind of characteristic of your business, is that typically high producers are heavily seller oriented. 70% or more of their sales come from sellers. And we always preach, try to build your seller business, because buyers are a byproduct of that through open houses and your marketing and things like that, right? But you guys are the buyer specialists. To sell 25 buyers in a year is pretty phenomenal. I have a couple theories on that, but I want to keep it short and let you talk about it. But it's kind of part of it, I think, is your Syrian community is still young in Southern California versus some that maybe have been here a couple hundred years. But there's probably other reasons why. And I know you're working hard now to balance that and get more on the seller side. So share a little of that.
Yeah, I think it does have to do with something with our community in particular. It may be true across many cultures, but we tend to buy a big house and stay in it for 40 years. We're lifers in the home. And so a lot of my clients, when they buy big to start, thankfully they're blessed to the point where they can buy something 4 bedroom, 3 bath of substantialness to be able to hold their family in there for a long time. So a lot of my clients tend to be buyers because they're buying their first home or maybe their second home and they're upgrading. So it just naturally works out that way. I'd say 90 to 10% is buyers versus sellers. But actually, Keith, you predicted this. As these years have gone on, I've been doing a lot more on the selling side. And I think that came from the buying side. People see the type of work that we do and they're very happy with it. So naturally, listings are coming along more because they're seeing the residual of the good work that we do, how we protect them. And actually, just to start this year, I have about 4 listings that may be coming up just to kick off my year, which is way more than my traditional year where I start off with a lot of buyers. So naturally, business shifts. I think age demographics also may have a play to it. People downsizing, empty nesters, whatever have you. But help people where you can, whether it's on the buy side, sell side. If they need a rent, if you can't help them with it, at least direct them in the right way. A lot of my people will come to me and want to rent a property that's not on the MLS, whatever have you. But at least I'll send them the information on where the best sites are to look at, how to watch out for scams, because there's a lot out there. So even if I cannot help them directly, I can provide them with the resources that they need, which in return, they remember that. And when somebody else maybe around them is looking for an agent, they might be like, oh, you got to use this person. He's the best. You can't go wrong with this.
People remember how you make them feel when your priority is to help them. And if your focus is on truly helping them and taking care of the person in front of you, that inevitably will yield a return down the road, right? And it's important to keep that perspective, because in times where it's a tough market, or we're up against a drier month or two, whatever it may be, it can come to a point where that desperation can start to set in. So it's important to keep that top of mind and have that why be what drives you, and you, not just meaning you, Bobby, but anybody listening to this,
right?
To keep you anchored in those times. Because again, when we prioritize keeping the first things first, namely, the person in front of us that we're serving and taking care of, then the rest will follow.
Absolutely.
Right. Sure.
So with that in mind too, I mean, as we're nearing the second half of the month, January's felt like 5 months long already. But what are some of your goals for this year, and how do you stay motivated to keep after them? Let's say, come next month, or, God forbid, you run into a dry patch. What's going to be something that you come back to remind yourself to stay focused on that?
Yeah. Last year actually started slow for me. And I was like, man, it's going to be maybe a down year. Interest rates are high. A lot of questions with insurance. Buyers just weren't in. We were at a peak of our interest rates. And I was like, oh, it might end up being a slow year. It is what it is. But I put my head down and we ended up having our best year of our career. Thankfully, I don't like to flaunt, but it was a very high grossing year. We had over 30 transactions between me and my mom, over 500,000 in GCI, which is fantastic for us and an absolute blessing. And again, with the support of our community and putting our head down and working, it came to fruition. So I think there's 2 things that people should do. One is definitely have goals and break them down individually every day, every month, day, week, whatever have you. How many contacts you're going to make a day? And not contacts about real estate, just touch base with people. How have you been? How's the family? How many new people are you going to contact? How many outreaches are you going to do? Those are the small ones, which also help you affect your big goal. Every year, I like to make a vision board. Last year, I made a vision board with over, I think, 200,000 in GCI, where I was like, oh, this is probably not going to be that year for me. It's okay. It's a tough year. And then I ended up closing it over 300,000 GCI. And I was like, holy crap. And I was very impressed and taken back by myself. Sometimes you have those goals, those outlandish goals. You're like, you know what, let me aim for the moon and fall in the clouds. And it was a surprise and amaze to me. But because I had that goal, I had that plan of breaking down every month, week, day on how I need to get to there and just doing it. I think it's very important for somebody to do that. And then additionally, another one is have people around you that help motivate you. Me and my mom are very good at speaking every morning holding each other accountable. I think an accountability partner is very important. Also here in Remax, when I'm in a room of hustlers, you got big people around me. You got Jordan Cohen, you got Chris Williams, John Mazziota, people that just kill it and are amazing in this business. It also motivates you to do excellent stuff. So surround yourself with the people who are going to help uplift you and motivate you, and then have goals in mind and break them down individually, month by month, week by week, day by day.
And by the way, folks, that over 300,000 GCI is, you guys work together as a team, but you kind of split some stuff out. So Nada did a similar number. So if you could add as good as me, you can tell how well their team did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby, again, congratulations. Last year for many people was anything but their best year. It was, for a lot of people, their hardest year. And, I love, with your success, you maintain a measure of humility and gratitude for the achievements that you've been able to make. I know how much you express your thanks for the support of your community. And, for people who are looking to continue to follow in your footsteps too, like going into this year in particular, where maybe they are coming off a harder year, what's some encouragement that you would give to somebody who's trying to bounce back after a tough year?
Absolutely. I think it's very hard sometimes, especially when you're down on yourself, to get in the mental mind state. Right now, I'm reading a book on it's called How to Make Friends and Influence People, if I'm forgetting that title, but it's very big on mindsets. It's very easy to fall in the trap of, it's the effects of my environment. I don't have control of this. Mentality is the first thing. Trying to get in that mental state. No, it's okay. I'm going to work my hardest. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do that little extra thing, and find your motivators, whether it's your family, whether it's your career, whatever have you, that wakes you up in the morning and drives you. And stick with that. Work hard at it, because as long as you remember your why, it's going to help you push you every single day to grow and to challenge yourself, even in the tough times. With hard years ahead, even myself, and we're all human. I'm doubting myself this year. I'm like, oh man, the fires happened. Short of all the humanitarian issues that we're having, it's what's going to happen in our industry with insurance. How is that going to affect our industry? And there's all these doubts always come in our brain. And I just think, you know what? I have no control of it. What I do have control is my world, how I can sit down and work hard and do those extra things that, if that's going to have an effect on me, that's going to have an effect on me. But I know at least I gave it my 100% with the right mentality to work at it the strongest I possibly can to give myself the best possible chance.
That's so true. It's funny. You are real good about looking forward and using technology and exploring new and better ways to interface with your clients. But you brought up a book that was written many, many, many years ago. And interesting, my business coach, who also is one of the most techie guys, he's one of the impetus of Derek and I doing these podcasts. He's been encouraging me to do that. But he's reading a book that was written originally in 1937, and we talked about it just yesterday. And that's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And probably everybody out there has read it at some point in your life. Mm-hmm. I suggest you go dust off your old copy of it and look through it again. There are so many great pearls in there that work as well now or better than ever before. And it starts with mindset. You need to believe you can. You need to have good self-talk. And then all the other things we know. Time block your day, work your plan, and execute on a daily basis. Doing what you said, Bobby, making sure you knock out the most important things first. So easy to go, well, I'd like to go do some, and I need to get dog food. So let me run and get dog food first. And then, So very encouraging to say. Here. Yep.
Yeah. And with that in mind too, I mean, it's so easy for people to think that, oh, I just got to, spread myself thin, doing all these things over here and doing all these things over there. And okay, I'm going to door knock one day and I'm going to send out mailers and I'm going to post on social media. And then, oh my God, and then before you know it, they're burnt out because it's just all this sporadic activity without a deeper why, like you mentioned, and I think it's important as well for there to be a focus with how you're spending your activity, right? And it all goes back to, like we were saying, if we have the mindset of I'm doing this because I want to reach this goal. And I know that my passion is to, be speaking on social media. I'm going to post a video a week, let's say. Then you have a plan in mind, a plan in place with the right mindset, heading in the direction that you have set in. And I think that that's different than getting anxious and starting to do activity from a place of, again, desperation.
Right.
When you have that position of, I'm not thinking with the scarcity mindset, I know that I can only control what I can control. And I'm going to do my part of being consistent with the activity that I put in. That's consistent with my why, with my passions, with my strengths. That all affects and eventually snowballs. So, for anybody who may feel stuck in a rut, go back to the basics of what you're passionate about, what fires you up, what gets you excited. If it's not cold calling, don't spin your wheels trying to cold call. If it's not door knocking, don't fool yourself that you're going to just magically one day wake up and decide that you want to door knock, 1,000 doors. Be realistic and know yourself, right? The extent with which we know ourselves and we truly know our strengths and our passion is going to be the extent in which we're able to influence people around us and have an impact on our business. So with that in mind, it's really keeping people with that focus, but it does start absolutely first and foremost with mindset. And from there, everything else can flow. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe in that. Also, find your strengths. Some people make a killing door knocking. Some people make a killing cold calling. Whatever you're comfortable with, and that's your niche. Me, it's meeting people. I don't advertise to any random people. It's sphere of influence, whoever I know, because it breaks that ice immediately. But again, God bless you. If that's your style, door knocking, cold calling, whatever it is, find that and stick to it and beat it to the ground. Because whatever you're good at, that's going to be the thing that's going to yield you the most results.
Well said. Absolutely. Lots of ways to skin the cat, but the agent's favorite way to develop business is to sit and hope the phone rings or something like that.
Exactly.
I can tell you, you need to be proactive, and in a perfect world, a couple buckets at least, a couple ways to build that rich database and add people to it all the time.
Absolutely.
Completely. Well, Bobby, thank you for your time. Do you have any final words that you'd want to leave us with? Or maybe a shameless plug for people to find you on social media, anything like that?
Yeah, you can find me, Bobby Chatih _realtor on Instagram. Very basic, but you know what? Sometimes basic is what you want. They want to know what you are off of your Instagram if that's your goal. But these Liftoff podcasts are amazing. The last one you did, I forget the lady's name, but she was excellent. I highly recommend anyone to go back and hear it.
Karen Landry.
Yeah, Karen Landry. She was fantastic. I took a bunch of tidbits from her. She was awesome. And constantly learn. Learning is one of the best things you could possibly do. Even in this field, when I think, I have it made and I'm good. No way. Constantly try to learn as much as you can from the people even above you. And try not to get caught up in the comparison devil. That can be a very tough animal. Even me, I feel like I'm so successful, but I try to compare and I'm like, oh man, it breaks me down. Mentality, focus hard, and make this your best year.
Fantastic. So those of you who want to refer some business back and forth with Bobby and Nana, they specialize in the San Fernando Valley all the way out to La Cañada towards Glendale and the Santa Clarita Valley, particularly along the 14 corridor and really everywhere in Southern California.
And if you need an Arabic speaker, we're your people.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. Let's have a great 2025 together and celebrate as we go.
My pleasure. Thank you both.
Thank you all. Stay tuned for next time.
See you next time.
Have a good one.